Okay, we lit it just like a fuse, so no need to pick and choose. Welcome to 2020, where we do more than interviews. The hottest be coming through, jumping knowledge on all of you. Get a peek at the front of you with the truth that they offer you. Yeah, hands up, we doing it for the culture. To give artists and businesses more exposure. Keeping it real and stay solid just like a boulder. It's about to go all the way down, can't get no lower. Chasing my dreams, know that they get no slower. But if I stay running, I promise they getting closer. Moreover, success my older. And if you're sleeping on me, I'm waking them up like Folgers. I told you, coming from the land with the tide roll. Well, we'll be on a whole different vibe though. We like to ride slow and keep our windows tinted so you really can't see us like Stevie Wonder waking up with his eyes closed. Yeah, got the kind of flow that rock the boat. On my 16s of pounds of dope. And if you figure you can hang with me on the mic, then grab some rope. Matter of fact, better grab some hope. While you at it, we keep it live, it's time to tune in. Turn up the sound on what you're using. It goes so hard, I think it's bruising. The show is 2020, no need to zoom in. Yeah.
We ain't gonna get into the interview immediately, because quite frankly, it'll sound forced.
Yeah.
I just jump into it whenever we do, but we can just keep shooting shit if you want. What I was saying, compared to religion. So I learned a lot about African American history in terms of spirituality through comparative religion. And the reason I say that is because my teacher was Miss Autry. Miss Autry made me. She before class started, she was like, "How do you feel about voodoo?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm apostolic. I can't touch none of that. That's against God's word." And she was like, "Really? That's how you feel?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Somebody told you that?" I was like, "Yeah, it's witchcraft." She was like, "Is it?" I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Have you ever questioned it?" And I was like, "I did, but they just told me it was witchcraft." And she was like, "So somebody told you it was witchcraft?" And she was, pulling the string. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay. She was like, "I'm going to give you this topic. I want you to do a paper on it." She did this one-on-one with every student. She didn't, pull religions out of a hat or anything. She took your personality. She sat down, talked with you, observed your personality, and assigned you what would be best. We did 2 papers. Oh, man, I love Miss Autry. If I could see her in the street, I'd pick her up and hold her and spin her around. But the 2 I did were Buddhism and voodoo. And voodoo, as much as I love Confucius and Siddhartha, oh man, doing that paper made me go back and read Siddhartha. I think I got the book up there somewhere. Oh, that man was on something. And I mean that in a positive way. He went from being this rich prince to being like, this ain't it. I got everything, but I ain't happy. My father's rich. I'm gonna be rich forever. But I don't understand how the universe works. What good is it me to be on this country, in this world, and there's a whole galaxy of people that have different lives and different mindsets. Like, how am I benefiting them if I'm just rich and just living my life? Like, what's the point of that? Mm-hmm. So he sat under a bodhi tree and meditated for days and days and days, and
until he became the Buddha.
Took off his gold chain, took off his good clothes. I don't need all this. Yep. All I need is a grain of rice. Well, not literally, but all I need is a grain of rice. All I need is just to eat, and I can do good. He
ran into some monks who were all about aestheticism, and they were depriving themselves. They was eating off of they would drink from a leaf, the drops from the leaf, and they thought that it was enough. And then he was just like, hold up, I don't think this is it either. I don't think that's the answer either. And so he brought in balance.
Yep.
He searched for balance. He found it, and they called him the one.
My man,
same people. I know about it, bro.
Man.
I know about
man,
it.
Bro.
I wish I had a teacher that would have guided me through that, but my experience was totally different.
Really?
Yes. When I was in high school, someone introduced me to Christ. My brother Ladarius. He did it aggressively because I was cussing a lot. I was a tormented child. I was going, especially that time in my life, because my mom, she didn't want me, and my grandmama had to take me in to keep me from going to foster care. Mm. So I was a very angry boy. You know what I mean? Your mama don't want you. It's like, I was just mad. So I was cussing all the time, and he was like one of those guys who carried the Bible all around. And then one day he was just like, "Look, I'm tired of you cussing in class. Look, here's a paper about Jesus. Read it, say the prayer, and come back to school safe." And then I ended up going to like the hospital because I had sickle cell at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was facing death. That was like the first time I remember facing death in my life. I was like 14. It was like this time. It was like same December. I was in Christmas in the hospital and everything. I had acute chest syndrome. Like, it's a sickle cell kind of pneumonia. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of fluid in my lungs. And they was about to put a needle like in my back to try to get it out. Yeah. But it's high risk, and they said it might be fatal, but they will only do that if they had to. So they were doing everything they can to have me in the bed backwards to try to make me cough up it was awful. I wasn't really expected to live. The doctors, the physicians that came in would talk to my grandmama who was with me and tell her realistically like to expect me not to live. And so I didn't think I would make it. But anyway, I was watching this infomercial on the TV in the hospital, and after BET Uncut come out. God! Yeah, BET and then God! But anyway, like, that came up, and when I went in, I still had my school uniform on with the prayer paper in my pocket. And so that came on, I'm like, this Jesus thing again. And I didn't really know. I wasn't raised in the church like that, by the way. I don't know. At that time, I didn't know anything about tradition. The only time I went to church was for Easter, a funeral, or something. Mm-hmm. It was not for me to be a part. For real. Didn't get deep enough in church for me to understand Christ and the purpose.
Right.
So I saw that, and I just looked at the paper, and I was just like, I guess if I'm gonna die, we'll see. Read the paper, and I don't know. God reached back out to me, and for that, I tried to like search for Him, and I didn't search for Him by like, well, I'm gonna just go and do what people tell me to do, and just go to church and read the Bible and stuff like that. I went to church, I read the Bible, but it wasn't all I did. That caught me like, okay, if this is God and He is real, then I should come to Him. And I came to Him, and I got curious. I said, okay, if everyone believes in God, why are these denominations exist? When I found out what denominations were, I'm like, why do you exist? You all believe in the same God, right? And so I went to every denominational church. I wasn't a member of any church. I just pop into a church and just listen to the pastor and stay around there a little bit until I get the feeling that, okay, I see what you're about. Then I go to Jehovah's Witness, I go to Pentecostal, I go everywhere.
You were the Ryu of
yes. I was really that. I went to every church, bro, and I learned as much when I got my feel with denominations and understanding of why everything is the way it is and the system. I even got so deep as to figure out like how every pastor like has a bishop. I got to the system. Like I even got through the system to see like how people become ordained. I researched all day in high school by myself. No Google. I did that hard research like a reporter, bro. And then eventually I just started crossing over into other religions. And the first religion I went into was Hinduism and Sikhism and Buddhism. And I got to see why it's different. Because I used to think that Hinduism and Buddhism was like the same. I used to at that time. And then I realized that Buddhism is kind of like birth from Hinduism. Hinduism is a lot like the Egyptian pantheon, where there's just like a whole collection of like beliefs and proverbs and stuff, and just like a historical, it's a clusterfuck. Really, it's a lot. So I just started diving into it, and I started seeing similarities because I had immersed myself so deeply into Christianity and Judaism, because Christianity and Judaism go hand in hand, even though they don't like to admit it. The only difference is Jesus.
They all derive from Abraham.
Yeah, yeah. And even then, like the attitudes, like the whole reason why we got these denominations
Islam
come from
too, actually, those three.
Yeah, they all together. Islam, Judaism, Christianity, you same. You're the same, bro.
We just made some people mad, but they'll be all right.
That's cool.
They'll be all right.
That's cool. Read the Quran,
Look,
read the Bible.
They'll go back and read and be like, motherfucker.
Exactly. Read the Quran, read the Bible, and read the Torah. I guarantee you might see one book that's in common.
Right.
Well, one book that's like the same, and everything else just kind of
it just diverts from there because it all started from the same place.
Exactly.
It's crazy. His kids caused that. That's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy, but it gives you perspective though. It makes you understand, really how great we are as human beings. Like how innovative we are. You know, how deep the web we weave is. Like it's deep. It ain't just in a tangle, but it's deep. You know what I mean? And how much more we are than the cultures that we live by. We're so much more than that. And that's a lesson that I learned. When yesterday I was at St. Louis Street Missionary Baptist Church. You gotta say the whole name. Right. You know how them churches, I say the whole name. But they do something incredible. I don't go there for the religion or anything like that. But they're one of the few ministries here in Mobile that actually do what they're supposed to do. Like they have a ministry that goes out and actively helps people in need.
Oh, that's dope.
Not just pray for them, not have prayer circles and prayer moments and Bible study. No, they go out there and they feed you. They clothe you. You need some help or a place to stay. If we ain't got the money, you can come to us.
Wow.
And I'm like, yo, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. The point is for us to be there for each other.
That's so, you're right.
That's the whole point. Like, none of that preaching, none of that stuff means anything. And at the end of the day, all you can do is pray for me. When you are capable of actually doing something for me. You're supposed to be here. You know what I mean? And so that's the reason why I like to be a part of what they do. I go out there and I only went just because PJ had said something about Black on Black Round doing like a coat drive every year and stuff like that. And I used to, before I got deep into the gene therapy thing, me and my wife used to go to downtown Mobile to Wings of Life and stuff and Mobile Public Library and just go out there and just, because you know that's where a lot of them just hang out at. Right. And so we'll go out there and just give them words of encouragement, food, money, whatever we could at that time. We did that for a while until my wife and her friend went down to Mobile Public Library and got ran away by the police. The police intimidated them and ran them away for, they say, this is what they call it, solicited. Or something like that. So they ran them off, but they did it in a very intimidating way. My wife came back home just upset. She felt violated the way they did it. She said they didn't have to do it that way. But ever since then, I mean, it's always been in my heart. You know what I mean? That's the reason why I chose my career path. I'm going to try to be a Black therapist. It's what I mean, because I see that's what we need. A lot of Black people in our community, we have a huge amount of people in our community with mental health issues, but we don't have anyone culturally competent enough to help us with them. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Man.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Coming from somebody who I have the issue of, I've looked into therapy, but it's it's different when you see someone like you, you know, and my thing is I don't have a problem with speaking, obviously. Yeah. But my thing is, if I'm going to tell you things that's going on, I want to feel like I'm not paying you to listen. I feel like I need to feel like I'm talking to someone who understands where I'm coming from. And are willing to kind of meet me there. I don't want to feel like, okay, I'm paying you now 59 and 58 seconds left. I don't want to feel that way. And I'm not saying that people feel that way, but first impressions are everything, especially if I'm going to invest my money into it. Because if I'm going to pay for a service that's to better me, I need to feel, I guess, welcome enough to come back and keep doing it. I need to make my dollars make sense.
I get it.
And I understand investing in your betterment is a big thing, but I don't want to waste my money either. No, I don't want to go in feeling like I'm at a -8 and walk out at a -8. You know, if I'm gonna walk in and invest my money into you, I need to at least be at a -4. You know what I'm saying? And then we can get to the positive integers from there. But that's, I think that's big. I think representation is everything, because when I've looked into therapists in Mobile, because I had a friend actually send me a list of recommendations. It was only one Black male out of 20. And that kind of said a lot. That either there aren't a lot of Black men pursuing this field, or there's not enough activity to keep you invested in that career?
Yeah. It's a little bit of both. There's not too much money in it necessarily. It's not the most grandest job. A lot of people, they choose to go through like focus on research and medicine and stuff like that with it, because it's more money. But I got into it because I worked at Alta Point, and while I was at East Point, I saw the population and I saw the disparities in health that people of color get because their psychiatrists, their therapists are Hindu, Indian, or Asian or white, and in their reports they will describe some of their interests, like in music. They will add those attributes to their condition, which is false. You know what I mean? Like, one doesn't have to do with the other in those reports. You know what I mean? I was in a nursing station looking at their files, reading the DSM-5 book so I can compare. You know what I mean? Like, I was in high school doing journalism. Like, research is my thing. Like, I love like just doing research and stuff and fact checking people. That's my thing. You know what I mean? But I would just go behind, because you grow to these people when you like, yo, they get up on their medicine, or when they get up out of the situation that they come from, you can see the humanity. And we objectify people so much that we don't see the humanity. We only see what they do to us and not what they mean. And you can only see what they mean if you listen. You know what I mean? So it pissed me off, honestly, because I would read these reports and I would hear the way they talk about these patients, and I'm like, you don't know them like that. You're not even evaluating them the right way. You're not even evaluating them as long as you should. You should at least do it for 6 months before you even start diagnosing them, before you even start saying you need this, that, and the third. They come up in here, they're not even here long enough, and then they still messed up, and you release them back out, and guess what? They go to jail, and then they come right back to East Point. I saw that so often, it made me sick. And the kind of character of a person that I am, I'm one of them kind of people, and I use this example all the time. I'm one of them kind of people, like if I walk down the street and I see some trash, I pick it up and put it in the trash can. You know what I mean? You either gonna pick it up and put it in the trash can or complain about it and say, ooh, these people around here dirty. So which person are you? I'm that person who would pick up the trash and just put it in the trash can so to make it a little bit more cleaner. I'm not going to go around just picking up trash, just like cancel my plans. Like, oh, it's messy out here. I'm not like that. But if I'm along the way, like, you know what I'm saying? If I'm along the way and the trash can is right there and there's trash, I'm going to pick it up instead of complaining about it. Because complaining just means that you wanted somebody else to do something that either you're not capable of doing or you don't want to do. So just do it and the problem goes away.
Damn.
So that's the kind of attitude I got, and it's a long road. I still got a ways to go because my schedule is crazy with work and family and kids. So I can't take my classes like I want to. But when I graduate, I'm putting my boots to the ground and I'm helping I'm helping as many people as I can now. But you got to have there's a certain level of credibility that comes with a degree. And I can't wait till I get to that level. But that's my goal. My goal is to be one of those pillars in the community to just help people in their lives so they can be stronger for other people. You know what I mean? Because all of us have value, and you don't really see your value until you serve. You don't see your value until you serve. Not until somebody says you're valuable, but until somebody says, hey, I need you. When someone says, hey, I need you, that's when you feel valuable. So when I help you enough until the point to where you start seeing your value and how you need, like, hey man, can you do this, that, and the third for me? That builds up confidence. You know what I mean? So, and about what you were saying earlier about that, like once I get to a certain level, once I get my doctorate and stuff, I can open up my own practice and I can set my hours however I want.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So, and I can set my prices according to, what I value myself as. It's up to me. I have total autonomy over that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I promise you wouldn't come in my office -8 and leaving on -8. You know what I mean? I done been to a therapist here too. We went to, I forgot her name. It was a Caucasian lady. Me and my wife went. We just needed an arbitrator because sometimes you need an arbitrator to be like, hey, this is what he's saying. This is what just objectively say when I'm trying to say, take the emotion out of it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because egos clash, pride gets in the way, and you're not hearing what I'm trying to say or what I'm actually saying. You get lost in translation. So you need somebody there to be like, ha, ha, ha.
Right.
And you need that. So I was looking, I did the same thing you did. I was looking hard for somebody who was like African American. Couldn't find them.
It's not a lot of representation.
It's not a lot of representation at all. And it is so needed.
Yeah.
Not just in therapy, but in politics. It's needed everywhere. I just found my position, and that's what I'm doing, because it's what I'm here for. I found what I'm here for, at least.
Man. And it's kind of funny. I think that derives from your journey of having to be brought back to the source of servitude, serving your fellow man, because I think, and this is just me being hypothetical, we talked earlier about comics and the grand arc of your story, because you're the main character of your story. You had to be brought to the precipice of death to be brought to the realization that you wanted to seek truth in your own facet. You didn't want it to be recited to you. And I think with you taking that path and seeking your own truth and doing things your own way, you got independent. So you were like, okay, in the terms of knowledge, I'm going to do what it takes to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And I think you giving back is kind of the same narrative. It's kind of like your character trait at this point.
Yeah.
Certain people just take the knowledge as they can get it. Other people go and seek it. Just like you sought God, you're seeking that representation, of leaving your imprint, your legacy, man. That's dope.
Yep.
Not a lot of people talk about this type of stuff one-on-one, man. Real talk. Most people, and this is what I tell my girl all the time. This is why I love doing what I do, because sure, we could sit and talk comics all day, but it's different to talk about philosophy and your own truth, your own theology in a way. It's kind of like the book of Lynndrick that you're sharing with us. Real talk, and it's always interesting. Your perspective on certain things is always enlightening, even if I may not necessarily agree, but I enjoy hearing someone else's view on everything. We might talk about that water bottle. You might see the name brand, what I'm like, well, I see it's just recyclable. That's all I see. But, it's just interesting to see what you see and compare it. So
that's all that matters, man, because reality is irrelevant. Perception is everything, to be honest with you.
And with that being the case, perception being everything, the more I realize that truth is not truth. Truth is just a perspective. Truth is just what it is to you, how it relates to you. That's once you realize that, you can open your mind to other thinking processes.
From there, once you realize what perspective is, then from there, it's not about understanding, but about respect.
Yes.
Because I've reached my limit of understanding here, because we both can't see the same thing. You see something different. You see recyclable, I see water.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And my experience is different. I'm actually drinking the water. You're observing the water.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So from there, all we can do is just respect each other's experience.
Exactly.
So understanding why you see a bottle and why I think it's water, I can argue and say it's because I drunk it.
Right.
It's as drunk it is water. It went down. He was like, well, you didn't drink it, but it just looked like a bottle. It's gonna be recycled.
Right.
I gave it to you. I know what it is.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? We can go back and forth all day, but that water is still gonna be water in the bottle that is recycled. It is both.
Right.
It is every perspective.
Right.
It is not just one facet. It is every facet that makes a diamond.
Man.
So with that being said, respect is really the currency, the mental currency that we use to keep, that we should use rather. I ain't gonna say we use, we don't, not always. But it's a mental currency that we should use to actually further our own knowledge, to further our own experiences in life together. You can't do that beyond that. I don't understand everything, but I respect. You don't understand, I never created a gun. I don't know how a gun necessarily works, for real. I know you got some gunpowder up in there, a little bullet thing, the thing goes out, boom, it's like a little small little cannon or what have you. That's about all I know. You know what I mean? But I respect it. I respect it. I may not speak the same language as the president of Mexico, but I respect his power.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? So there's different levels of respect, and you just gotta respect things for what they are. I respect that as being a controller. I don't care how you look at it. It is what it is
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day. So you let it be what it be.